Hello everybody, the game has just finished. It finished Bangladesh 1, Seychelles 1, and I am back once again to discuss the highlights from today's game. First things first, if you are watching this video, thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to scroll down a little bit and hit that subscribe button just down there so you can keep up to date with all of our coverage of both the Mahinda Rajapaksa Trophy and everything else around the world that we also cover here on DNQ Football. Right, let's get straight into it then. So the game finished 1-1, which is really a terrible result for Bangladesh. Where to start really with the kind of Bangladesh performance? The performance, of course, of the Seychelles as well, which is a great point for them to start this off. Obviously not as many goals as there was yesterday in the Maldives-Sri Lanka game, but still plenty of events to kind of cover off. The first kind of notes that I've got is that Bangladesh clearly the better side, and I stand by that now. You know, I know the game finished 1-1, but Bangladesh clearly the better side. Defensively looked pretty solid, weren't in danger certainly for most of the game, and when they got the ball into midfield, they had a lot of talented players who were then spraying the ball out wide to the overlapping wing-backs who were causing chaos. Unfortunately, no final product. As we've seen a number of times already throughout this tournament from all four sides now, that lack of final product at the end. But Bangladesh having all of it really. The Seychelles, or Seychelles, however you prefer to pronounce it, are committing a lot of fouls. And I'm really surprised. I'm going to get onto the referee a little bit more shortly, but I'm really surprised we didn't start to see some cards early on. But some big tackles. I don't think that there was any malice necessarily in them, but I just felt like a lot of players off balance. Perhaps the pitch didn't help, but a lot of big tackles, nasty tackles at times on the Bangladesh players that slowed down the play and really made it quite a poor game. Yeah, I'm surprised, as I said, that there were no cards dished out, and I think that would have changed how the game went, which I'll get onto a little bit. Seychelles really had the first proper chance about 14 minutes in, a good effort from long range, but didn't cause the Bangladesh goalkeeper any big troubles. But as we've seen throughout this tournament, sides, if they can get shots away, that's where it's causing problems. I've not seen that many saves in comparison to shots on target. I think that these sides, as they progress in this tournament, might just want to pull the trigger a little bit more. There's a little bit of overplay, a lot of play down the wings, as I've said already. And I think that's resulting in these sides. I know that there were lots of goals yesterday, but there could have been more even in the 4-4. There definitely could have been more today. Both sides very wasteful. And on the 16th minute, number 16, Ibrahim, a brilliant goal. Actually, a brilliant goal for Bangladesh. They actually didn't go wide this time, and I think that was the difference because they had the opportunity to create a clear chance. But still, great play from Ibrahim, weaving around a few players, and a wicked shot. It sort of strikes across the ball, which meant it swerved back towards the keeper. If you look at it in slow motion, it may look like it's a poor bit of goalkeeping, but actually the shot was hit with such wicked pace and zip on it that it just swerved away into the roof of the net. Brilliant goal, and deserved. And I thought, okay, game done. I genuinely thought that, and I thought it was more one-sided, a lot more one-sided in the first half than the Maldives-Sri Lanka game, even though at half-time it was Maldives 3, Sri Lanka 0, and this game, as it progressed, 1-0 at half-time. I still thought that this game was a walk in the park for Bangladesh. I thought it was easy for them. If you think about the sides, not too far off in the world rankings this time, so I think about that. I know I go on about that a little bit, but 184 to 199, Bangladesh being the former of those two. Yes, favourites, but not in the same way, but they absolutely dominated the game. The Seychelles were poor on the ball. They looked okay when they got it to the strikers, but apart from that, it wasn't a good performance. I thought that number 22, Saad, was playing really well for Bangladesh, both in an attacking and defensive perspective. Again, though, just lacking that final product, just that ball into the box that's going to cause real chaos. A lot of looping crosses, and Bangladesh were being outdone by their just sheer lack of height. The Seychelles are a lot more physical as a side, and that wasn't causing Bangladesh problems at this point in the game anyway. But it meant that they couldn't get those shots away from those looping crosses. So what I'd want to see from Bangladesh's point of view in the next few games is more driven crosses, more purpose in that. Just drill the ball across. Anytime they did try and cut it back, it was almost like a soft pass and the ball just broke down because, of course, the pitch wasn't in great conditions following the downpour a few days ago and, of course, the match yesterday as well. Yeah, using the wings very well. And what I've written down is it could have been 2-0. It could have been 2-0. A big chance on the half-hour mark for the captain of Bangladesh. Excuse me. And I actually put at this point, if Bangladesh do their jobs, there should be no issue. And it should have been. Saad got down the wing shortly after and whipped in a cross. It was a good save from the Seychelles goalkeeper. Bangladesh playing really nice stuff towards the end of the first half. Half-time 1-0, as I said, but it was dominant from Bangladesh. I heard on commentary as well, them saying much the same thing, that it was just a walk in the park. I think Bangladesh maybe just took their foot off the gas a touch and just thought, we can coast this. We don't need to go and smash goals in this game. We can just kind of go at our own pace and we'll canter to a victory. This is going to sound quite harsh, but I've written down here the worst person in the first half was the referee, by a mile. A number of decisions that were incorrect, where players clearly won the ball and barely made contact with the player. There must have been 10 or 11 situations where players were rolling around on the floor and then medical treatment was required. It was a really stop-start first half, a really poor first half, truth be told. And Bangladesh will be disappointed in obviously the result, but probably with the referee in terms of allowing that game and allowing the Seychelles to disrupt the flow of what was just an easy game for Bangladesh. Referee was terrible. There should have been some yellow cards for some Seychelles players in the first half, without a doubt. Plenty. There probably should have been 3 or 4 yellow cards in the first half, and there was none. And in fact, I'm not sure that a Seychelles player got booked in the entire game, which is criminal, really, because there was lots of big challenges. No red card challenges, I don't think. Not like in the game yesterday where there could have been one. But I thought that this game was... Yeah, I absolutely thought there should have been a handful of yellow cards. The second half had a quiet start, but then there could have been a penalty shout for the Seychelles, and this was when they started to come back into the game. I think it was a penalty. Personally, I thought that there was a pull on the Seychelles front man from the Bangladesh centre-back. The ball then broke through and the chance was missed, but you don't play advantage on a penalty. You can't play advantage on a penalty. As soon as the game was allowed to play on and the shot was wide, you obviously then can't pull it back for a penalty. But you just blow the whistle there. I don't know what the referee was thinking. It was, for me, it would have been massively against the run of play at that point in time, but that doesn't stop it from being a foul, which personally I thought it was. And that could have made it 1-1 and that could have changed the game. I think, weirdly, if that had have been given as a foul, Bangladesh would have won this game. I know that's a strange thing to say. You're saying a penalty to the Seychelles and Bangladesh would win the game? I think so, because I think that Bangladesh needed to concede earlier to switch on. It was so lax, so laissez-faire, the approach in the second half. They almost needed that 62 minutes penalty goal to restart. Referee doesn't give the penalty. Bangladesh probably buzzing about that at the time. But they didn't switch on from that point. They stayed calm. They stayed quiet. They weren't switched on at all. And then moments later, there was a counter-attack and the Seychelles could have scored again. The number 10 winger that came on played well in the second half. Was sort of the difference, really, once he came on. And he had a big chance. And he missed it. And it was a howler of a finish. And on commentary, they were criticising the finishing, which I completely agree with, from both sides, but particularly the Seychelles. But they're starting to come back into this game. About the 70-minute mark, we start to see pushing and shoving from both sets of players. We start to see some big tackles go in the first booking as well. And I wasn't surprised by it because the referee didn't get hold of the game in the first half. If it had been a zero tolerance to these big tackles, the pitch doesn't help. It's slippy, it's slidey, it's essentially just caked in mud. Players are going to lose control when they go in for these big tackles. And the referee should have cut that out in the first half. Brandished that yellow card, cut it out. But he didn't, and around the 70-minute mark there was some pushing and shoving, and I thought that the game could kick off. The Seychelles really started to grow more and more into the second half, and I was watching it and I was thinking, are we going to see another comeback here? And I couldn't really believe it because Bangladesh were coasting and then just started to just give the ball away. And the long ball started to work more and more and more for the Seychelles when they brought number 22, the big man, on up top. He was really good at just holding up the play and setting it off. They started to create more chances. I thought that Topu was big for Bangladesh today. I thought if he hadn't have been there, they could have lost this game. Because as the game went on, there was only really one defender doing running, and that was him, the number 4 for Bangladesh. Good speed shown and good athleticism. And had it not have been for him, it could have been even a worse scoreline for a side that should have cantered to a victory today. I do want to give credit to the Seychelles because they did keep it at 1-0, and there's always a chance when the game's 1-0. Well, as we learned from yesterday, there's always a chance when it's 4-0. But they weren't very good. And that's no disrespect to them. I think that both of these sides might not reach the final. If you're Sri Lanka looking at this game, you're not worried. You're not worried at all. They've just scored 4 against the Maldives, massive favourites of the competition. They're looking at these two sides, probably quite confident that they can win these games. And I'm not surprised. And I would back them to. I think that a huge, huge game will be the Bangladesh-Sri Lanka game. I think that that's massive. I think that Sri Lanka should beat the Seychelles. The Maldives should beat Bangladesh. But if Sri Lanka want to get to this final, they're going to have to... They're going to have to beat Bangladesh. At least a draw in that game, you'd think. But they've already played the hardest team in the competition and drawn. So this game will not fear the Maldives or Sri Lanka going into the rest of this tournament. And then the game sort of, there was more and more chances, not clear-cut chances, but more and more wasted efforts from the Seychelles. And then eventually they broke through. A good through ball, debate of an offside, could have been offside. And the ball breaks for a corner. Ball's played in, flicked on, comes back in. And this time they do get the equaliser. 1-1, deserved on chances created. And then Bangladesh switched on and immediately go down the other end and miss a sitter of their own with a header. But that was the first chance that they'd had really all second half. And that's a testament, I think, to their mindset in this game, that they just thought, they just took it easy. They just took it easy. This is a big game. This is a prestigious tournament to go and win. They've not done enough. They didn't do enough in the SAF Championships. They certainly didn't do enough today. And I think if you're a Bangladesh football fan, you're really disappointed in your side. And I completely sympathise with that. And then late on, 90 plus minutes, the Seychelles should have won it. I can't believe that they were in a position to win it, but they should have. The ball's dinked in from the number 9, and the big number 22's jumped up and basically got zero contact on the ball with a header. If he connects with that, it's a goal, and the Seychelles have won it. Full time, 1-1. Not a huge amount to shout about in this game. As you can see, this match review's literally about 12 minutes long because there just wasn't the chances created. I don't want to sound like I'm slating Bangladesh, but I do feel bad for their fans because I thought they were very poor today. I thought that's the type of game where, as a fan of that national side, it should be, obviously the Maldives will be the most disappointed national fan base at the moment, but the Bangladesh, based on that first half, that should have been a 3-0 win, and it should have been easy, and there shouldn't have been any chances for the Seychelles. But fair play to the African nation that really none of us knew too much about going into this tournament, because they stuck together and they deserved their point today. They could have snatched all 3. That would have been a very different match review. But 1-1, probably a fair result based on the balance of play. A fair result, but it shouldn't have been a fair result, if that makes sense. Bangladesh would be very disappointed. And now who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? I know the fixtures will have to be delayed. I'm not sure when they will take place yet, but I'll be keeping up to tabs with it as much as humanly possible, because this has been a great tournament so far. It's been a really good showcase of South Asian and of course African in the Seychelles minnow nation football. Do I change my predictions based on this first match day? No, I don't. I think that it will. I don't think the Seychelles will get to the final. I don't. I know it's a good result for them today, but I don't think they will. Now my head, and certainly Ryan's prediction as well on the preview, which you can still watch on YouTube, and of course you can watch the match review from yesterday's game as well. My head said that the group would go 9-6-3-0, and it would be Maldives, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Seychelles. Obviously that can't happen. And my heart said that Sri Lanka could get a draw against the Maldives, and that might change the way this group goes. I think that Sri Lanka, if they get to the final, would win a one-off final because of the home crowd and the support and the atmosphere. And also because if they get there, that means that they've already beaten or at least drawn with the teams that they're going to face. They can't now reach a final, really, against someone that they won't have at least drawn with. I imagine that the Maldives and Sri Lanka will look at Bangladesh now and think, we need to beat them and then we're in the final, because the Seychelles shouldn't pose too much of a problem. Finishing has been the big issue so far in this tournament. Razik obviously is the exception to that rule. Very clinical performance from him yesterday, but generally chances created, chances finished. It's not a good ratio at the moment. I think that Sri Lanka have a shot at winning this tournament, which would be amazing for them. I think the Maldives, if they get their act together, could swat the other two teams aside. But it will be really interesting. It will be really, really interesting. If you are from Bangladesh, by the way, and you're watching this match review, I'd love to know what you think. Feel free to disagree with my opinion. But I don't know too much about how highly regarded football is in Bangladesh and what the fans would have wanted from this game. I just think that if I was a Bangladesh football fan watching that first half, I'd be gutted with that end result. And I'd actually be really disappointed with the performance as well. I know you've had a number of managerial changes over the last few years. I don't want to say it's time for another one already, but I don't think it was a good performance. I don't think they were ruthless. I don't think that they remained switched on. And I don't think that they showed the courage that they needed to just win this game. You know, as the Seychelles started to dominate the second half more and more, okay, just defend a bit better then. Just drop that line a bit further back. Stop that ball going in behind, you know. Or play the offside trap, one or the other. They were caught in between defensively. And that cost them in the end. So if you're from the Seychelles, that'd be even cooler. But, you know, I don't think we've had too much engagement from anyone from that part of the world yet. So do drop a message. But if you're from Bangladesh, I want to know what you think. I do want to know what you think. Drop something in the comments. Or DM us on Instagram. It's at DNQFootball. You can see it all down here. Because for me, that was a disappointing result for Bangladesh. And for me, I'd be worried looking at the rest of this tournament how it's going to go. Who is going to win the Mahinda Rajapaksa Trophy? I don't know. My predictions are relatively unchanged. But I think that the lowest ranked side and the top ranked side, bizarrely, could meet in a final. I will be back for the next match review that I do, which will really depend on how the game goes and what I want to talk about on the channel. I'll also be back tomorrow as well to talk the rest of the world, what else is going on around the globe in terms of international qualifiers. And then at some point over the weekend, I'll be back as well to talk through both this tournament and the CAF, the African Football Federation's qualifiers, and who has progressed to the World Cup, or who could progress to the World Cup. But that is all from me today. Drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe as well. It's been great to have you with us. Thanks for all the support recently. It is massively appreciated. And I will see you very soon.